Hey everyone! One of the most intriguing matchups of the year is happening this weekend. UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis will face off against the star Russian fighter Khamzat Chimaev. Dricus du Plessis entered the UFC somewhat under the radar, a former KSW champion with 0 title defenses. In the octagon, he looked so awkward that he wasn't taken seriously until his victory over Robert Whittaker in 2023. Since then, he's taken the belt from Sean Strickland, beaten him in a rematch, and forced Israel Adesanya to tap out. Yet, he's still consistently underestimated. Facts about Dricus du Plessis. Number 1. Du Plessis started judo at age 5, wrestling at 12, and kickboxing at 14. At 17, he became the first South African medalist at the WAKOW World Championships, K1 kickboxing. He also played rugby concurrently. Number 2. Dricus dropped out of university and his final year and switched to MMA because kickboxing paid poorly. Number 3. Du Plessis is the first and so far only champion from South Africa in UFC history. Number 4. He is only 5 fighters in UFC history to win a title via split decision. Alexandra Pantoja, Robbie Lawler, Henry Cejudo, and Carla Esparza can also claim this. Number 5. Du Plessis' last loss was in KSW. In 2018, Roberto Soldic avenged the prior loss and knocked him out in a rematch. Number 6. Dricus currently holds the longest active win streak in the UFC middleweight division, 9 wins. Only Adesanya with 12 wins and Anderson Silva with 13 wins have longer streaks in the division's history. Number 7. Only Chris Weidman with 4 wins, Adesanya 8 wins, and the Spider, Silva, with 11 wins, have more wins in title fights in this weight class than Du Plessis. Du Plessis has won 3 title fights. Number 8. Only 3 fights in the South African's career have gone to a decision, and he won every single one. Number 9. Du Plessis lands an average of 6 to 12 significant strikes per minute. Only Strickland throws at a higher pace in this division. Number 10. Du Plessis has knocked down 4 of his 9 UFC opponents: Marcus Perez, Trevin Giles, Derek Brunson, and Robert Whittaker. He finished them off afterward.
Khamzat Chimaev's UFC story is one of a meteoric rise, where the hype quickly outpaced him, followed by disappointment. Despite remaining undefeated, he pulled out of several fights and competed very rarely, practically disappearing from view. Last year, the hype returned after a crushing win over Robert Whittaker. But again, since October, Khamzat has only appeared in headlines, not in the cage. Facts about Khamzat Chimaev. Number 1. Chimaev is a 3-time Swedish freestyle wrestling champion and holds a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He competed in freestyle wrestling at 86 kilograms and 92 kilograms. Number 2. He has fought 5 times at welterweight, 6 times at middleweight, and 3 times at catchweights. Number 3. 12 of Khamzat's 14 wins are finishes, 9 in the first round. Only Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman took him to a decision. Number 4. In his first 4 UFC fights, Boers absorbed only 1 significant strike, a UFC record. No other fighter has absorbed 0 significant strikes in 4 or more UFC fights. However, Burns did land 119 significant strikes on him. Number 5. In the octagon, Chimaev has spent a total of only 2 seconds under his opponents, or 0.07% of his total cage time. He arguably leads all fighters in league history by this metric. Arguably, because Tom Aspinall spent only 1 second under opponents, but that's 0.09% of his total time. Number 6. Khamzat could become the 15th fighter in UFC history to win a championship title with an undefeated or clean record. Number 7. In 8 UFC fights, Borz has landed at least one takedown. He only failed to take down Gerald Meerschaert because he knocked him out in 17 seconds. Number 8. Khamzat's 2 wins in 10 days, July 2020, and 3 wins in 66 days, July-September 2020, are also UFC records. Number 9. Chimaev has fought only twice in the last nearly 3 years. Number 10. 6 of his 8 UFC performances earned Khamzat performance bonuses.
Fighting styles and matchup analysis. There are fighters whose sheer physicality overcomes any technical flaws. Dricus du Plessis is one of them. Many have pointed out that he looks awkward, flat-footed, fights like an amateur, and strikes like an amateur. None of that matters if his punches land and he can absorb seemingly unlimited damage. On the feet, the South African holds his hands high, stands with a wide base, and plants his feet flat, unexpected from someone with his kickboxing background. He blocks shots, throws his own strikes with explosive bursts, often awkwardly and from strange angles, while leaving himself wide open. But he hits hard, fast, and frequently, gradually wearing opponents down. He hasn't finished any high-level fighter in the first round. He wrestles the same way he strikes, all brute force. He drives forward with his whole body, lifts opponents off the mat, slams them, clings on, and breaks them. You might see comments that Dricus doesn't get tired. That's not true. Against Israel Adesanya, he expended huge energy grappling in the second round, was breathing heavily in the third, and looked terrible on the feet. But Adesanya, who was also moving in slow motion, decided to trade more often and ended up eating a lot of heavy shots, which likely led to his loss. You could say Dricus has a different superpower. Despite fatigue, he maintains his timing and explosive power enough to overwhelm opponents in the later rounds. Khamzat Chimaev is very busy and twitchy on the feet. His strikes are whipping, but he throws few and rarely brawls. He tried with Gilbert Burns, but those exchanges ended badly for him. So his main weapon is, of course, wrestling. Khamzat's wrestling generally works on the same principle as Khabib Nurmagomedov's. He's big, powerful, strong, but also incredibly fast. When a wrecking ball moving at cannonball speed hits your legs, there's little you can do. Sprawl, he'll drive you to the fence and strip the leg. Turn your back, he'll cake it. On the ground, if Khamzat strikes, it's not as powerful as someone like Nurmagomedov. He prefers to pressure, smother, and look for submission opportunities. Many rightly point out that against Borz, you absolutely must survive the initial onslaught. Then he dramatically drops his pace. At least that's what we saw in both of his UFC fights that went past 2 rounds. In both cases, his opponents were physically strong, and both fights were close. The intrigue and concerns. This is where the main buts lie, causing many to doubt if du Plessis is the right opponent for Chimaev, and also where the main intrigue of this fight comes from. As we've said, the South African is incredibly physically strong. If things don't go Khamzat's way quickly, he could very well tire himself out grinding against this mountain of muscle. Not to mention that Chimaev has never fought beyond the 3rd round in his entire career. So for the champion, the most logical strategy would be to try to survive the first 2 rounds and then start working at full capacity in the 3rd. On the ground, tie Chimaev up and make him carry his weight. On the feet, attack the lead leg and fight his usual fight. Regardless, this fight will be a real test of Chimaev's level. Gilbert Burns was the only opponent in his recent run who was in truly good condition. Kevin Holland and Kamaru Usman weren't prepared for him, and Robert Whittaker, as they say, is past his prime. Judging how ready Chimaev, fighting only once a year, truly is for a title fight is difficult right now. Guys, let us know your predictions for the fight in the comments.